When you combine these 4 reading strategies, not only will you start naturally acquiring tons of quality language, but you're going to enjoy the process too, and that will help keep you motivated long term. Hello all, welcome to today's video. I'm Carp. I've been a language tutor and teacher for over 12 years, and today I want to share the 4 most important strategies for reading in a new language. So let's jump right in. Strategy number 1, and the most important, is choose by interest. This is especially important if you are a beginner or an intermediate learner. So in the grand scheme of all the different topics or themes you could be reading on, why choose by interest first? To put it simply, if you choose by interest, well, 1, it's going to be more interesting for you and engaging for you, but more importantly is you're going to want to do it. You're going to want to read in that language if you know, oh, I found maybe a short book or an article the other day on cooking, and you love cooking.
Let him cook!
You're going to be more excited about going and doing that and getting that reading done than you would if, say, somebody put something in front of you you're not interested in. Maybe I love cooking and I hate bowling. I don't want to read about this. And if you're not interested, you're not going to want to do it, and chances are you probably won't do it, or you won't really pay as much attention. The other piece here that's super important is that if you choose by interest, you already probably know the actual concepts. So then you can focus on just learning the language. If I know the concepts of cooking and using different pots and pans or different tools in the kitchen, then I'm not learning something that is entirely new to me with no knowledge base, because then I would be reading to learn something. But if you're a beginner and maybe still an intermediate and you're still kind of learning how to read or building your reading fluency, you're not quite ready for that yet. And giving yourself that additional challenge isn't usually worth it at the beginning. When you are a more advanced learner, you should absolutely be reading to learn, because you will have already learned to read. If you want to go more in depth on that point specifically and learn how to build out your own language diet, including reading, listening, speaking, and writing, I already have a pair of videos on that. I'll go ahead and link the first part above in the card, and I'll leave that link in the video description as well. You can get a lot more in depth there if you're looking for it. Otherwise, let's just continue with our reading strategies. Strategy number 2 is choose the right level. So you need to choose the right level of the material you're going to read. Ideally, the materials that you choose are just one step above where your current proficiency is. This follows the principle of +1. Wherever you are, your proficiency, your reading skill, +1. Just one step up. So when you're reading in a new language, this is so important because it's easier to understand the unknown pieces of language in a phrase or in a paragraph if you know most of the rest. Here's an example in English. We have this sentence: the bibliophile's collection was so extensive it could rival a university library. Now, most of the words in this phrase are fairly common and fairly high frequency, so people learn to recognize them very early on and see them all the time. The word bibliophile, though, is not. That is a very uncommon word. What matters here is that the rest of the sentence gives us an idea at how to guess at that remaining unknown word. So even if you didn't know exactly what a bibliophile was, the rest of the sentence is giving you clues. Not every sentence you read will be formulated like that, will be well written like that. But when you have a full paragraph or a full chapter in a book or in an article, it's easier to use all of the context clues that you're putting together as you read to guess those unknowns. So that's why it's important to pick something close to your level, but just beyond it. If you reach too high, then 50% or 70% or more of the words would be unknown, and there's no way we'll be able to fill in the gaps. It's too difficult. Choosing the right level is also key, because if you choose something that is that far beyond your current level, it can be very demotivating and very discouraging when you feel like you're just doing a terrible job, or that you feel like you don't understand anything, when in fact there are a lot of things that you do understand and that you can read. Now, this strategy of choosing the right level can actually be offset by strategy 1, choosing by interest, because if you are genuinely deeply invested and interested in a specific topic, you tend to have a higher tolerance for the parts that are unknown. For example, this was a manga I picked up in Japan this summer, and I'd never heard of it before, never seen it before, couldn't even read the title on my own when I was there in the store. But as it turns out, this manga is hilarious. It's really, really funny. It's about this guy finding a stray dog who, as you can tell on the cover, is like watching TV and operating the remote like a human. Even though a lot of this manga is beyond my current level, I really enjoy it. And the parts that I do understand are encouraging enough and funny enough to me that I have more of a tolerance. It's okay if I don't understand even chunks of a page at a time because I'm enjoying the process, so I will keep reading anyway. So there is a balance between how difficult something is and how interested you are in it. In a perfect world, it would be just the right difficulty and it would be really interesting to you, again, especially as beginner and intermediate learners. Let's move on to strategy 3. Sometimes just read, sometimes look stuff up. This one is just as straightforward as it sounds. You must read for enjoyment with no intrusion sometimes, with no disruption. Just read. Don't have a dictionary on hand. Don't be sitting in front of a computer. Don't stop every other word. Just read and enjoy the experience. And like I said, it's not necessary to understand every single thing. Sometimes you just let it go, like I was just talking about with that manga. Sometimes I don't know every single word on the page, but I understand enough to follow the story and enough to enjoy it, and therefore I can keep going. So some days when I read that or other things, I don't look up anything. I don't do anything else with it. I just read. And some days when I have more time, I look a few things up and maybe get into some other things that we'll talk about here in a bit. With that said, sometimes pausing and looking things up is highly beneficial. Let's say you're reading a news article and a new word pops up and then it's there again in the next sentence, and then it's there again the next paragraph, and it's in the paragraph after that 2 more times, and you realize that, oh, I'm going to have to understand that word or that phrase if I'm expected to understand the big picture here. Those things, you kind of do have to look those up, and we have to balance and juggle both of those to get the most out of it. That way you can enjoy reading sometimes with no disruption, and you can use reading and get more value out of it. Speaking of which, strategy number 4 is go deeper and get more out of it. So what can you do with reading materials besides just reading them and just looking stuff up sometimes? You can use strategies like read alouds, pre-reading activities, sentence mining, retells, and summaries. Let me clarify each of those for you just a little bit. A read aloud, as it implies, is just reading your reading material, but out loud. This helps build pronunciation skills and reading fluency, and it's best suited for easier texts. Especially as a beginner in a language, you are still learning to read, and part of learning to read is reading fluency. Reading fluency is basically this balancing act between seeing what's on the page, saying it out loud, and then saying it correctly, pronouncing it correctly, reading it at the right speed, being understandable, and still being able to comprehend it all at the same time. And like with anything else, you start with easier texts so that when you read it out loud, you are slowly building your confidence in that reading fluency and that pronunciation and that cadence, and you are still understanding the thing that you're reading. Pre-reading activities can be a number of things, reading something else related to or a little bit about the thing you're going to read. Say I was going to read Harry Potter in Spanish for the first time. I could do things such as reading a synopsis about the book. Of course, a synopsis is not a summary of the book. It's not going to spoil all the main events. It's going to give me an idea of what the book is about without giving me spoilers. I could read about main characters. If it's a popular series or a popular book or a well-known character, you can also use AI to do this, and it's something that I find that AI is actually pretty reliable at. So if I went to an AI right now and asked it, hey, I'm about to start reading Harry Potter, could you tell me a little bit about some of the main characters without spoiling the book for me? It could absolutely do that in most commonly studied languages. You could have it do the same thing about the setting or settings of a book, and you could have it do the same thing about relevant major themes. Maybe I'm about to read a book about basketball. I could ask the AI to tell me a bit in easy language. That's a key with all this AI stuff. Say, if I'm learning French, for example, I went, well, in easy French, can you tell me what basketball is, how to play basketball? Just make sure you ask for simple language, and it will deliver on that. So those are some pre-reading activities. Then once you've started your reading, you can do sentence mining. Sentence mining is great for acquiring new vocab. Sentence mining is especially good for high usage words in the text that you're reading. So let's use the Harry Potter example again. If I'm going to read that, I would need to know how to say cast a spell or a magic wand or a curse. Things like that I probably wouldn't really see much elsewhere. I might identify those early on into my reading and then use sentence mining to help fortify my acquisition and memorization of those terms. What I mean by sentence mining is, let's say the first time I saw a magic wand in the book and I realized that that's what it was, or maybe I paused and looked it up, then I'm going to copy that original sentence, or you could generate or find a new sentence using that word. But I like to copy that original sentence because it gives me the context where I first learned it, where I first saw it. I'm going to set that aside. You could write this in a notebook. You could put it in a Google Sheets document. I explained how I do this with Japanese in this video. I'll put that card up as well and leave that in the description as well. But you can use sentence mining to pull out that vocab with the context that you learned it in, and then you can revisit that to review it and memorize it. Context is so crucial when you're learning a language, so that's why I think sentence mining is a great way to go about getting vocab in a more natural way. Lastly, we have retells and summaries. Retells and summaries are not the same thing. They serve two different purposes. A retell is just that. You are retelling the thing that you read, or maybe you're rewriting it, okay? But whether you're telling it or writing it, it is you trying to say as much as you can about the thing that you read with as much detail as possible, include all the main events and all the details if you can, and you're telling it to somebody else. Whereas with a summary, when you summarize things, you are just addressing the main ideas and the core points of it, the most important parts. You are not putting in all the details and you're not giving every bit of it start to finish. When you do either of these, you could do them on a small scale, like you could retell or summarize just a few paragraphs. You could do a whole chapter. You could do a whole book. That is up to you. But what matters here is that when you do these, it forces your brain to do two things. First, you have to be able to process what you read for understanding. Your brain is processing that reading and attaining the communication, the messages from the reading. And then two, you have to produce in that target language in order to talk about it or write about it. Now, this could be you writing a little bit. Like I said, it could be you sharing with somebody, maybe a friend, another speaker of that language, or maybe a tutor or teacher. Sometimes you could even make a presentation. I know that when I'm tutoring, I like to have my students make short Google Slides presentations where they can take the topic they're retelling or they're summarizing, be it making character profiles, or be it retelling, or be it summarizing the last chapter to in a book. And that way it becomes a bit more interactive. It makes it a lot more of a fun experience than just writing it in plain text. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I can genuinely say I've had a lot of fun having my students make summaries or character profiles and things like that in the past. Speaking of which, yes, I do tutor English, French, and Spanish online. And if you'd be interested in taking lessons with me, there's a Google form linked in the description. Just fill it out. It only takes about 5 minutes. So as we wrap up today, let's just recap. Here are all 4 of our strategies together. Strategy 1, choose by interest. Strategy 2, choose the right level. Strategy 3, sometimes just read, sometimes look stuff up. Strategy 4, go deeper and get more out of it. When you combine these 4 reading strategies, not only will you start naturally acquiring tons of quality language, but you're going to enjoy the process too, and that will help keep you motivated long term. And that's it for today. Now tell me, before you go, what are your favorite reading strategies when you're learning a language, especially if you're somebody who's done this before? Let us know in the comments so that other viewers can see what's working for you or what you really like that you think others might enjoy as well. If today's video was helpful for you, please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you haven't already. And lastly, if you know someone else who's learning a language who might find this helpful, please share this video with them. That would help me a ton. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.